So I'm Laura Roser, and I'm here with Merlin Buhl, and he has written this excellent article for this issue of Legacy Arts Magazine, and it's called "Passing On Your Faith." And I definitely might recommend reading it. And in that article, Merlin, you kind of talk about a conversation you had with your son, like basically he was listening to music and it kind of disturbed you because it was kind of disturbing music, and then from there he started expressing all these doubts about his faith, and
Hmm.
um, so when you talk about that process in the article of kind of talking to him and and how to create these open dialogues. Can you explain kind of what your relationship is now with your son, and how having these conversations has really helped your relationship and his
Sure.
evolution?
Yeah, so that conversation happened when he was a junior in high school, and he's now out of college and has his own job and starting his career. And it kind of put us on a 7-year track to engage in those conversations over the last 7 years. And, it's kind of a tricky thing as he was honest with me and shared with me his doubts. And I had gone through some of those same doubts in college and stuff like that. And so we were able to kind of have a shared perspective on that. But kind of knowing where he was at, I would sometimes give him, a message that I heard that I thought was appropriate, not overbearing, not preachy, but yet kind of spoke to where he's at. And so kind of over the years, those kind of things have transpired back and forth, and he's listened to him and, and appreciated him. And, he's quite honestly made some decisions that maybe we wouldn't have made, but he's made them, and he's learning through it. And his journey towards God continues. I mean, it's closer now than it was 7 years ago, but it's a process. It's a journey. His mother and I pray for him every day, and like we do the rest of our kids. And we are coaches at this point. And so we try to interject when we can, respectfully, and when we think it's appropriate, and with appropriate message, either something about our own story or a message we've heard or a book that we've read or an article. Say, hey, this might be helpful in your journey. And he's been always very, very responsive to that.
Excellent. And would you mind expanding on your background a little bit,
Yeah,
and why you wrote this article and so
sure. So this kind of is a merger of three things for me. So like I said, when I was in college, and then I actually got myself to seminary, and I kind of went through some of these same doubts, and I took a class, apologetics, which is how we reason about our faith, in seminary, and it kind of lit my fuse for that whole topic of apologetics. And so my bookshelf is full of books about apologetics, and I just, that's what I read for fun. And so that's kind of one part. And then the other part is we have actually 7 kids and two nephews that we claim as ours. My wife's sister and husband passed away about 12 or 13 years ago. And so 3 of theirs kind of became ours. And so, we had, at the height of occupancy of our home, I think I mentioned that in the article, we had 9 kids, 4 cats, and a dog, all living under the same roof, my wife and I. And so you look at all the different personalities around that table and say, how do you communicate with all of them, in ways that they can understand it? And so it just got me thinking about how do we share our faith with our kids and our grandkids? And it got me thinking about, it needs to be informational, but it also needs to be experiential. And it's like, what's the format, or what's a way that we could share our story, but we also need to share the reasons why we believe what we do believe. And so now the third part of this is I own a printing company, or I used to, and the printing technology about 3 or 4 years ago got to the point where you could do one book at a time. You see these things on Snapfish and Shutterfly, and the technology got to the point where every book can be unique. And I kind of put all those things together, and I said, oh my goodness, what if we did a memory book with the emotions of the pictures and stuff, along with our story? So there's our experience of God, and then also help people kind of articulate the reasons why they believe what they believe, and put it all together, and then be able to print out, a beautifully bound, kind of a bookshelf kind of a book And if you want, each book can be unique. And, I mean, so that's kind of where it all came together for me, between having the number of kids we did and influence we were trying to have on them, the printing background, and then the love for apologetics. It kind of all came together about 2.5 years ago.
Oh, that's great. And so now you help people create these books for their own kids and their own family, right?
Yep. Yeah, our real passion, our initial passion is to help them articulate their story, as well as the reasons why they believe what they do. That's kind of where we want to step alongside people. That's just a passion. If they want to print a book and do it in a memory book format, that's great. If they want to, if they want to write a letter to their kids, if they want to verbally share it, any of that is fine. We have a vehicle for them to do like a memory book, but our passion is to help them communicate their story, be confident about their story, be confident about their faith, the reasons they believe what they believe is true, and be able to share it in ways that are meaningful for the kids and their grandkids.
Excellent. Well, good. Well, yeah, it's so inspiring. And I would encourage you to read this article, because it's one thing I love about it is it's very open-minded. I mean, you're not really, sharing your faith is just about sharing sort of your personal experience, and you
Mm-hmm.
didn't really have an agenda with your son other than sharing, and helping him along his journey, whatever, path that would take. So I really like that.
I think it's real important too that the communication is clear. That as parents we all mess up, right? I mean,
Yep.
we have a bunch of times, but I've apologized. I've gone back and said, hey, I'm sorry for this or sorry for that, and try to keep a real short account. Because if your child or grandchild harbors a lot of resentment against you or something, it's going to be pretty hard to share your faith. So one of the things you got to do is make sure that you may not agree on everything, but you've always been respectful as you've communicated those truths and your faith and stuff. And if you've made mistakes, like we all do, you go back and say, oh, you know what, Dad wasn't, he wasn't doing what he should have done there, or he treated you wrongly, or whatever the issue is. But you got to clear that stuff up in order for them to hear your story, in order for them to hear your reasons, be interested. Those channels have to be clear. You have to keep those accounts short as far as the stuff that goes on that causes friction and conflict, and treat it in a godly way. I think that kids want to hear. We did a survey and we asked them, would you want to know your parents or your grandparents' faith story? Would you find it valuable and interesting? And 98% said they would want to hear it, and 100% said they would read it. So even the 2% that said, I don't know about that, they would still read it. And so I'm like, they want to know. They want to know what we're thinking, what we're feeling. They want to know our struggles. They want to know that we've messed up in life and how we came out of it, how God's redeemed it. They want to know why we believe what we do. Do we just believe it because the pastor told us, or do we really thought through it? I really think our kids and our grandsons, they want to hear. And it's up to us to figure out a way that is most meaningful to them and most impactful for them. And so we want to help people create their stories and their reasons, and then the vehicle that they choose to deliver is really up to them.
Excellent. Well, good. So how do people find out about you and your company?
Yeah. myhopetoyou.org. So it's just My Hope to You. It's spelled out mytohopeuyou.org, and everything's right there.
Excellent. So. And we have more about Merlin's background, by the way, in the article, and links to his website and everything. So check out the article, check out his website, and thank you again, Merlin, for spending a few minutes with me.
It's been great. Thank you, and have people connect with me if I can help.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
If you're interested in passing your non-financial assets like your wisdom, your values, and your beliefs to your family and leaving a great impact on the world, make sure to grab a free subscription to our online magazine. Go to legacyartsmagazine.com and you'll see it there. In every issue, we interview fascinating people about their legacies, from Fortune 500 CEOs to artists to philanthropic leaders to best-selling authors. We also offer tips, guidance, and strategies for developing an excellent legacy of your own.